Welcome to Cavalry Week. Yes, that's right, folks. So, over the next 8 days or so, I'm going to be featuring a number of replays, showcasing some games where cavalry was used to good or ill effect, talking about cavalry in general in the current state of the game, how to use different types of cavalry, and so forth. Just because there's been a lot of discussion around cavalry in this particular patch, and in the last patch, a lot of people think that cavalry is maybe in the worst place it's ever been. I thought that might be the case when I was playing the early access of this patch way back in the day before the Beastman DLC came out. I actually think now that it's probably better than it was in the Rakarth patch, and I've come to that conclusion over the course of watching it and playing many games over the past month and a half or so, since that DLC came out. Anyway, today we've got a replay with Rider of Rohan. Who else to start us out on Cavalry Week? But we've got a couple Eagle Claw Bolt Throwers, some Archers, Rangers up front, up against the Skaven, Lion Chariot here, Metal Mage on the Ithilmar Chariot, very interesting choice. And we've also got our first Cavalry-only Lord, Tyrion. We'll be talking mostly about him in this replay and sort of Cav Lords in general. And then the cavalry itself, Illyrian Reavers. So the light cavalry going to be the focus today. Illyrian Reavers, obviously, they are technically shock cavalry. If you look on the tooltip here, it does say shock cavalry, 40 charge bonus. Pretty good. They're very squishy in terms of HP, only 40 armor, 36 melee defense, though pretty good for a unit of this class. Most of that is due to martial prowess. Of course, once that drops, they will be significantly weaker, and considering they are so squishy, it's pretty easy to drop. But light cavalry in general is probably the most tactically flexible. I mean, obviously there are no skirmish cavalry here specifically, but you can imagine if these Reavers had bows, they could sort of stand off and shoot a little bit, whereas with the spears, they have good charge. They're coming in disrupting this attack. Getting some good charges on light units. With that charge bonus, they'll be able to hit and run pretty effectively. So disruption, going after skirmishers, chasing routing units, all of these are going to be great here. Same thing, beautiful rear charge penalties applied by these Reavers in these melee fights here, leads to the low leadership of the Skaven breaking on a number of units very quickly. You can see Clan Rats with shields already done there. The Eshid Triads having a hard time. So this right flank pretty much all completely broken. Other than some Rat Ogres still holding out, looks like some Triads may still be holding out. Archers in the back line getting pressured pretty heavily. And that's fine. And here, like, once they get tangled up in a pitched combat against a dedicated, strong melee unit like this Chieftain, which there are two Chieftains on Bone Breakers here, they're going to be pretty hefty, and even like charging into these Death Runners, they'll do some damage. Eventually they are going to give out the ghost, but they've disrupted enough that, the High Elves Rider Rohan here is able to get a pretty decent engagement. Critical mass of cavalry also kind of get this big blob of light cav getting a nice rear charge here. Looks like they were actually had a charge order on a summoned unit, and as soon as the summon despawned, their charge order actually drops. But still, Tyrion's in here. Tyrion being a horse-only lord. Horse-only lords, cavalry lords, are a little bit vulnerable in that they tend to have a little bit lower HP. Archaon has quite beefy HP, and obviously Tyrion does have Heart of Avalorn, although, as Rider of Rohan can tell you, you don't want to be relying on Heart of Avalorn. You really you just want to heal him, because if he routs and Heart of Avalorn doesn't go off, you'll feel very sad. But yeah, things looking pretty good already on the balance of power for Rider of Rohan. I mean, the army for Elves is actually getting relatively thin here, right? Like, the Archers are getting taken out by Clan Rats, Eshin Triads in the back line. Like, Chieftains are coming in to start to clean up. The Reavers at this point can start to pressure routing units. Like this right here is perfect. Again, exact perfect use case for light cavalry. Shatter that unit of Clan Rat spears so they won't come back, and then can come back and collapse in one of these melee engagements. But back to Tyrion. So one thing, again, that strat game, maybe not all of you watched my recent video about Tehenuin versus Sigvald and Archaon, but Archaon, similar to Tyrion, Horse Lords, actually, they fight monsters now pretty well. I think when they went through and fixed the stagger issue for infantry, it also kind of by extension helped a lot of cavalry lords not get staggered so easily. And now, because of the fact they tend to circle around Hort and Foot Lords quite a bit and not really do their charge animations, it works a little bit janky. Horse Lords generally are best at fighting monsters, it seems like, in my opinion. Maybe that's not 100% true, but in general, Tyrion, just an exceptional duelist. in terms of his attack and defense stats. With Martial Mastery active, he's got Feint and Riposte too to put him nearly at 100 on both attack and defense with that up. Looks like a little final transmutation. Going to go after the character pocket here as the High Elves. Like I said, despite the fact, you know, balance power so far in their favor, the Skaven actually still have quite a bit of tools left. I mean, these chieftains are taking quite a bit of damage here in the surround. That's not great. The Reavers still being around also showcase one more benefit of light cavalry, which is to support especially single entity combats, you know, mobile single entity combats. But like here, you've got the chariots mixed in with the cavalry all fighting together, you know, combined arms style. The Reavers are eventually going to give up, not without having done a considerable amount of work though, and even still, like this unit, fighting these Death Runners here in sustained combat after that charge bonus wears off, they will lose out, but still, just cleaning up those tattered units out in the periphery. Tyrion's starting to take some damage though. I mean, there's these Triads here in the Death Runners. They're going to debuff his armor by 50%. He's got Stand Your Ground active up to 96 melee defense, basically untouchable by any Skaven unit, pretty much. But at the very least, they can continue to just throw bodies at him and hope they can deal some damage to him. But look at this Sun Fang. Oh, man. Oh, man. That is a devastating late game. Sun Fang just clearing out all of those Clan Rats, Eshin Triads, all those remaining support units. Frees up Tyrion to come in here and just administer the beatdown on these chieftains. Both these Bone Breakers are... yeah, they're pretty decent. They're doing some damage to Tyrion. Tyrion's also going to take a little bit of rear charge damage from these Rat Ogres. Yeah, you can see he did take a hit there from the Chieftain, so they're not completely out of the woods yet, although the balance of power is just about to go to army losses. You have some Reavers coming back from rout. And Skaven will get featured this week as an opponent. They, of course, don't have any actual cavalry of their own, but there you go. Ryder Rohan able to take home the win against maybe not so traditional Skaven build. There's no mortars. Generally, I would say kind of a lack of range units. Yeah, no range units whatsoever, but even still, look at these Reavers, man. 900 value, 76 kills. 576 is like right on the money in terms of their cost, right? 700 and 134 kills. This unit, excuse me, had a little bit of a tougher time, but yeah, just excellent, excellent use of the Valyrian Reavers here to go after a lot of those light units, help support. You can see the Rangers kind of got canned. A lot of the anti-infantry work, I mean, obviously, Chariot does quite a bit as well, pays for itself. Tyrion, pretty good work. And the Metal Mage on the Chariot also, you know, High Elven mages on Chariots are very underrated in my opinion. You know that term is a little bit overused by me now, but still, I think, like, I don't see a lot of people taking the casters on Chariots, especially against the Skaven. I do think it's a pretty strong pick. Get extra HP, armor, and anti-infantry work. Does pretty good here. But anyway, back to the light cavalry. Yeah, Reavers just mopping up, absolutely. And for Cry here, you know, like the Chieftains on the Bone Breakers, talked about this a little bit recently. I'm not the biggest fan of Clan Rats as a unit. Clan Rats with shields in particular, really not cost effective. You'd be better off to go with just cheaper chaff and then maybe take a couple of DPS, like actual DPS units, like a mortar or maybe a couple of Globadiers or something. You know, take your pick. The mortars definitely didn't, or sorry, bolt throwers definitely didn't do anything here. But light cavalry in general, so, I mean, you've got skirmish cavalry, which we'll be no doubt looking at in other videos this week, but just in terms of sort of the basic, you know, melee light cavalry. So generally going to be floating around 500 to 550 points. You've got the 2 Elven, or 3 Elven, I guess now, light shock cavalries. I'm not going to go through all of them, but just to kind of give you an idea of the different unit types you can expect in this class. Yeah, all these ones are considered shock cavalry, 40 charge bonus, 27 weapon strength, 26 in the case of Dark Riders. All more or less fulfilling the same role, very similar stats, niche and everything. Yeah, great at doing all the things I just mentioned there. Obviously, you've got some more upper tier light cavalry, something like a Centaur that's going to be a little bit better against a multitude of different targets. Same thing with, like, you know, you could consider Nehekar Horsemen. We'll probably look at them in their own video. Same with Centaurs. Maybe not in their own video, but certainly in a video. They're more... Nehekar Horsemen, I guess, are more melee, and you could consider, like, Mounted Yeomen also more melee. I mean, 32 charge is okay, but it's definitely not, like, shock cavalry status by any means. But yeah, not a super long video today. I'm going to keep it relatively short, but just wanted to showcase that, kick things off with a little bit of light cavalry discussion. Make sure to subscribe for more cavalry videos and in general to the Warhammer 2 multiplayer. Like this content, like, share, all that jazz. Thanks again. We'll see you next time.